A Murder of Ghosts. Written and read by Evie is Evil. Notes. This one fought me quite a bit. I had to move on and write chapter 10 before coming back to it. Crazy how that worked. From here on out, chapters will follow a more fast-paced timeline. Now, on to the fic. "Hey," Jason asks Danny one day, while they're working through some of his homework. "Could you bring me food sometime?" He had been flipping through the cookbook out of curiosity, and it was just making him homesick for Alfred's cooking. "Oh!" Danny seems to get pretty flustered. "I didn't even think. Yeah, sure." He seems to contemplate. "Is there anything you want in particular? I'm not great at cooking, and there isn't much food at home." "That is concerning." Jason will most certainly press on that later. "But I can get, takeout?" Maybe just a burger?" His favorite was the chili cheese dogs sold on the corner of Robinson Park back home, but that isn't easily accessible. Burgers, though, were a good second for grab-and-go food. "Hey, that's great. There's a great burger place in town. I go all the time. It's called Nasty Burger. The best part is the nasty sauce, which I don't know why they carry, considering how volatile it is when heated." Danny rambles. Jason's eyes widen a bit, but to be honest, he's heard and seen stranger. "I would question the name, but back home there's a Bat Burger based off my city's vigilantes and rogues, so I can't argue." "Wait, you have a restaurant based off you?" Danny nearly shouts, leaning into his space. "Well, there are nuggets named after me." Jason preens a little under Danny's awe. "I wonder if I could get a menu item named after me at Nasty Burger," Danny asked himself. Jason just laughed. "Is there anything you want in particular?" "Nah," Jason responds. "I'm not too picky. Whatever you might recommend will be fine." "I'll go get something now." Before Jason could say anything else, Danny was zipping off to presumably fetch greasy fast food. Turns out, Nasty Burger wasn't actually nasty. Wasn't quite good as Bat Burger, but still delicious greasy food nonetheless. The nasty sauce was pretty good too. While he dipped his fries in the stuff, Danny told him about a time the restaurant nearly blew up because of the stuff. "Yeah, so I accidentally blew up half the restaurant in a ghost fight, which knocked loose some hot plates, which fell against the nasty sauce vats in the back, basically creating ticking time bombs." Jason just stared in shock. "And it gets worse. I get sent to the future, and my evil future self swaps places with me, and he ties my family and friends to the giant vats as hostages." "Dude, how does that even happen? And why would your future evil self want to kill his family?" "Well, he is a merge with my nemesis? Either way, the future stopped because I souped him and saved my family, and Nasty Burger was rebuilt." "What you're telling me is, you blew up a burger joint. Not nearly, you did." Jason clarifies. "Well, when you put it like that," Danny says before stuffing his face with more burger. "How did this all happen anyways?" Jason asks. His food has been abandoned for the crazy tale. "I nearly cheated on the cat test, but like I said, time travel," Danny clarifies. This is, in fact, not clarifying for Jason. "Time travel? Do I even want to know what happened?" Jason asks, his head spinning with the info. "My mentor Clockwork, he's a timekeeper. He's one of the ancients." Jason would like to stop asking questions at this point. He just goes back to his frankly delicious burger. Danny wheeled a wheelchair into Robin's room one afternoon. "Change of plans," he alerts the boy. "Today I'm teaching you Ghost 101. He cheers. Robin looks up from the book he's reading. His injuries have been healing steadily, though he has been bedbound by his casted legs. "Are we going somewhere?" Robin asks, putting his book down and glancing at the wheelchair curiously. "I'm taking you to teach you about cool ghost powers." Danny could technically do it right here, but Robin has been getting antsy staying in the same room for so long. All right, then. Robin flips the blanket off his casted legs and swings them off the edge of the bed. Bring that here, he commands, and Danny wheels the chair closer. Do you want any help? He asks. Robin just shakes his head and pulls the chair into a more optimal position. He then expertly leans down and uses his arms to heave himself into the chair. It seems like you've done this before, Danny hums. What, never injured both your legs before? Robin snarks. I mean, I guess I have, but I heal fast and... In demonstration, Danny floats a little higher and picks his feet up visibly. So, we're teaching me how to do that? Robin asks, wheeling himself closer to Danny. Sure are, Danny grins, before motioning over his shoulder and leading Robin out of the room. He leads them to the warm cave with the blanket nest Frostbite had shown him. There is a large blanket nest in the center, with warm glowing lights dotted around the room. In the corner are a couple of trunks filled with extra blankets. Not the most conventional training area I've been in, Robin comments. But soft, I suppose. Danny just flops down in the center. So, how are we doing this? You want to learn how to float, right? Danny asks, flipping onto his stomach and kicking his legs up behind him. Yeah, that's like basic ghost stuff, right? He asks. Yep. Danny popped the pea, before getting up and drifting over to where Robin is perched in the wheelchair. I am pretty sure you can float, considering I found you floating in the ghost zone. He gives a strong tug to the boy's arm, intending to pull him up into the air, but instead Robin goes down, hard. I now see the purpose of the blankets, Robin says, voice muffled by fabric. Oops, is Danny's sheepish response. Robin just flipped himself over to be sitting on his butt. I kind of expected you to just float. Most ghosts and humans do here. And humans? Humans have been in the ghost zone? Robin asks. Yeah, my friends have come, and when I'm in my human form, I'm even more floaty. Humans are like ghosts here, he rambles. Actually, I've never seen a ghost or anything really properly follow gravity here. What about literally anything in Frostbite's cave? Nothing I've seen has floated besides you, Robin comments. Well, things don't follow gravity unless they want to. Robin just gives him a confused look. That makes no sense. You can't just choose not to follow physics, he complains, throwing his hands in the air. Danny just smirks at him. Don't say it, he points at Danny. Say what? That I choose not to? Danny teases, floating up in the air to make his point. Robin groans, flinging his hands back over his face. But for real, most ghost stone stuff is nonsense. That's more... He waves his hand around looking for the word. Emotionally driven? Actually, he looks Robin up and down. Maybe that's your problem. Maybe you're too used to physics, and your form is just following what it knows. Danny looked over at Robin. He was contemplatively staring at the ceiling. I guess that makes sense, he says after a while. Then how would I train myself to ignore physics? And yeah, that is quite the absurd question out of context. Danny considered the question. What if... He grabs Robin's hand and spread his weightlessness to the boy, similarly to how he shared his intangibility to his friends. In response, Robin grabbed onto both of his hands a bit frantically. Whoa! The two hovered about a foot over the blanket nest, while Danny let the other boy get a hold of his bearings. You ever been to space before? I'd assume zero-G is similar, Danny tells the boy. Robin meets his eyes with a bit of shock. I have been to space before. Only the Watchtower. Never zero-G. I zetaed up. Danny gets starry-eyed at that. The Watchtower? he screeched in delight. You've been there? What I wouldn't give to go there. I love space. It was only then that Danny realized he had pulled his hands back. But Robin was still floating on his own. You're doing it. Huh? Robin looked down at himself, floating, before promptly falling out of the air. You floated on your own. Danny cheered. Robin sat up. He now had a determined look on his face. Again, he demanded, holding out a hand for Danny to take. He happily accepted. By the end of their session, Robin was able to float for short periods unassisted. Danny could tell it took a lot of concentration, but he was doing so well. He put a hold on the training when he noticed the other boy, visibly flagging. I think that's good for today, Robin, he told him. They had been working on it the past 2 hours while chatting. I can keep going. I'm almost able to hold it for 10 seconds, Robin told him. Again. Robin held out his hand, asking for another boost. Not today. You're getting tired. We can try again another day, Danny told him instead of grabbing the offered limb. I want to try again, Robin reiterated with an irritated scowl on his face. Danny wasn't going to bite. He could sense the boy's core, and it had been slowly fading in vibrance over the past 2 hours. Not extremely concerning, but he was definitely using up his very small ectoplasm store. You're tired, Robin. I don't think your core could support any more today. We should get you back and get some more ectoplasm hooked up. Robin dropped his hand and fully frowned. Danny saw a flash of anger in the boy's eyes before he turned away. Do you want help into your wheelchair? In response, Robin just dragged himself over and up into the chair. He began wheeling back the way they had come from. Danny followed in a tense silence. When Robin got back into the room, he pulled himself onto the bed and turned away from Danny. I'll just go get Frostbite to hook up some ectoplasm, he said, earning no response from the boy. He returned with the Yeti doctor, who peeked inside and asked Danny to wait outside. He didn't like the sour mood. He wasn't sure why Robin was suddenly mad with him. He thought they were having a good time bonding. He curled up and sat with his back to the wall outside the door to his friend's room. After a long while, longer than it should have taken to hook up an IV, Frostbite came out and invited him inside. Come in, young one. Your friend has some things he would like to discuss with you. Danny trailed the Yeti inside. Robin laid on his cot quietly, with an apologetic look on his face. Hey, Danny said softly. Hi. I'm sorry for getting mad. I don't know what came over me. I just really wanted to keep training. I don't know why I got so upset. Robin really did look sorry. Please don't be mad at me, he whispered. I'm not mad at you, Danny reassured. I'm just concerned for your well-being. Frostbite said I may feel emotions a bit more strongly, Robin admitted. So that's why Frostbite had taken so long. Danny also thinks about that tidbit of information. Ghosts are pure emotion. It's a property of ectoplasm. He remembers being more emotional when he became a ghost. All his emotions were amplified twice over. That makes sense. He tells Robin about the heightened emotions. It can suck to deal with at first, but it's not all bad. The boy just nods along. You should get some rest. It'll help replenish your ectoplasm stores faster. He patted the boy's knee. I will, he told Danny. He seemed like he wanted to say something else, so Danny waited for him to form the words. I think you remind me of my mentor. I used to get mad when he cut me off from my training. Yeah? Danny wasn't sure what to do with that information, but he noted it for later. Yeah. Robin seemed done with the conversation, so Danny got up to leave. And that is the end of Chapter 9. Author's notes. Oopsies on Chapter 8's posting. This is definitely not stressing me out that my buffer is only Chapter 10 now. Lies and slander. Edit. I am realizing I wrote this chapter while delirious, and it doesn't make total sense. Just pretend it's the filler episode that is added to make up screen time. And reader's notes from me. I read this after reading the one-shot that should hopefully be posted later this week, if my editing works out. And it's like 2:30 in the morning. My voice is tired. I'm tired. I feel like Jason kept slipping into like Damien territory slightly, and Danny just sounds like Dick when I do his voice. I'm tired. I can't keep up with the differences. But thank you guys for listening. Bye.